my first year was coach's, it was his first NCAA tournament as a coach from Army and through his few years earlier at Duke. And so that first year, my freshman year, I thought was a big breakthrough kind of year. We established our identity as how we wanted to play. We were going to be a pressure man-to-man defensive team. We were successful at it, successful enough to where we became relevant. We were young. We started four sophomores and a freshman. So you're looking at this team, man, they're making some strides. They're growing together. You could see it happening and developing. I remember my freshman year when Coach walks in with the athletic director, Mr. Butters, the legendary AD, and he wanted us to know that he had just signed Coach to a new 5-year contract. So you felt and saw things starting to really come into place. There was some stability. There was, credibility being, built up. And so things were moving in a direction. And now we go and play in the NCAA tournament our first year. We lose in the first round, which was really hard.
Yeah.
We had a really good year, but we lose in the first round, and it was a tough loss for us. And then we, the second year, my sophomore year, we go to the second round. We lose to Boston College, and then became my third. So you felt like we were growing and developing and getting better and getting older. That was a key part of it too. Getting better, getting older, and then we were one of the things that we were so very lucky. We didn't have a rash of injuries. We were not a team that was, coach as usual doesn't play, a whole lot of guys. But, we didn't have anything that would have, kind of knocked us out because of something happened to one of our key guys. Danny Ferry became a big recruit. He was a freshman my junior year. So that became something that, Billy King came right after me, being from the Washington area again. So those guys were coming right after Johnny and I came. And that really started moving us in a direction of the kind of guys we were recruiting, the way we were going to play. Guys we were going to be there. We had nice continuity with things. Kevin Strickland was a North Carolina kid who came that year. Quinn Snyder came with Danny Ferry. John Smith from the Washington area. Kenny Blakeney from the Washington area. We really started developing, you feel like this program is growing. It's becoming relevant. We're winning. And then we had the breakthrough year where we were really good, that Johnny, Mark, and Jay's and David's senior year. We really were a good, outstanding basketball team. We may not have been the most talented team, but boy, did we always felt like we knew we played well with each other.
Yeah.
And we were very confident.
Yeah.
And we earned that, having gone through some things. And so that kind of built up, and it was nice to see that. Those are kind of things, it's hard to have those things in this day and time now.
Yeah, for sure.
The way the world is and the times have changed.
You mentioned going through things, and one of the things I say a lot to anyone who will listen is, especially at the college level, is I feel like in order to win, you have to go through stuff. I think it's very rare that you see a college team that just bursts onto the scene and makes a run to the Final Four. And even, the last national champions, the Virginia team, who'd been through stuff.
That's right.
Especially the year before, the first one seed to lose to a 16. So how much do you think those experiences of, okay, we broke through, we got to the tournament, we lost in the first round. We broke through again, got to the tournament, got to the second round, then we lost. Like, how much do you think that impacted you guys going into their senior year, your junior year, where things just started to click? You guys get 37 wins, won 21 straight at one point. How did those experiences kind of shape you guys?
You hit it on the head. Anything that that is worth, longevity or anything that you're looking at in terms of sustaining, greatness or achieving it and then trying to sustain, you have probably have gone through some heartbreaking moments and times. I mean, you can look back at all the great programs. You can look back at professional teams. You can look back at, organizations and businesses where they've had those moments where you've suffered, heartbreaking moments or losses.
Yeah.
And you mentioned UVA as a prime example in this day and time in the era, having just went through that as the first one seed to lose to a 16 on the men's side, and then turning right back around and winning it the next year. I mean,
Right.
that's incredibly gratifying.
Yeah.
But most of them, you look at the Georgetown, when they lose to Carolina, Michael Jordan shot, and then that was heartbreaking loss. And then they turn around 2 years later and win it.
Yeah.
Carolina, took so many years for them to win it, and they win it that way. It happens, and it's amazing how those stories are there. And we were the same way. Like before we had won the national championship, we had knocked on the door a number of years losing. We lost in the 1990, and I was on the staff then, by the largest margin in the history of a national championship game. When UNLV beats us by 30. And then we have to play them the next year in the Final Four. So that breakthrough, and then you win it. So those moments have always been there in society, in the world of sports, and particularly in business. But the key is, are you going to stay after it? When you've had that moment where your heart was ripped out. Is that are you ready to kind of throw it in, or are you ready to, hey, we got to go back again. We got to pick ourselves up and go back again. And you get rewarded when you pick yourself up. And so we were, but you're right, that going through some of those moments make you, a better champion when you actually are sitting on the top of the mountain. I don't know that we go back to back at Duke in 91 and 92 if we didn't go through some of the heartache and troubles that we went through in Final Fours before that, when we didn't win it. I don't know. Matter of fact, I probably would say that we wouldn't. I don't know that. I think that's why sometimes you're able to, when you look on the other side, the Lakers talk a lot about that with Pat Riley. If those guys, being able to, be the three-peat and all the things, if they didn't go through some of the stuff that kind of caught them before, they probably wouldn't have had those moments that they really celebrate.
Yeah. So again, I was doing a little bit of research. How does one get 7 steals twice in the NCAA tournament? Because 7 steals for me is about half a season. So how do you get 7 steals twice in a game?
Well, you got to know the stat keeper. You got to know the statistician.
That's where I went wrong. Huh?
Yeah, you got to do the homework on that part. You got to make sure those guys get extra sandwich or a Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
But no, we played a certain style, and again, that goes back to what we said earlier about establishing that brand and identity of how we wanted to play. And, and that one of the things I was a fairly decent defensive player. And then, that
I'd say
allowed me to, play the way we played. And, but you don't get those things if you don't have good team defense.
Yeah.
Where like, I'm not comfortable of making a play to get a steal if I know that I don't have guys behind me that have, if I miss it or if I don't get it, they're gonna make up for it behind me or have my back, So those all parts of those things really go hand in hand.